Disciplining yourself to wake early through hypnosis is not self-care, but a Machiavellian act of ruling your own nature before ruling others. When viewed through the eyes of Machiavelli, the transformation into a morning person through self-hypnosis is not about wellness, nor is it about aligning with nature's rhythms, but rather it is about seizing power where it matters most, in the private territory of the self. The ordinary mind treats mornings as a burden, a territory ruled by laziness, resistance, and excuses. The Machiavellian mind recognizes that these first hours of the day are not simply a biological phase but a battlefield where strength, order, and control must be asserted. To hypnotize oneself into rising early is not to surrender to some mystical force but to deploy deception, artifice, and willpower in a way that transforms weakness into discipline. It is the deliberate act of turning manipulation inward, using it not to ensnare others but to bind oneself in chains of utility, ensuring that every dawn begins under one's command. For Machiavelli, control is always more important than virtue. A man who has virtue but cannot command himself is at the mercy of chance. A man who manipulates his own instincts even through trickery seizes his destiny with both hands. Hypnosis here functions not as therapy but as a stratagem. It bypasses negotiation with the body's resistance and directly enforces obedience. In The Prince, Machiavelli stresses that appearances matter, and what is projected to others shapes their response. In this case, appearing awake, disciplined, and already engaged with the day conveys an image of vigilance, strength, and readiness. While others are still lost in dreams, the self-hypnotized morning person is already enacting strategy, already preparing for the challenges ahead. Such positioning alone is a form of dominance. Being awake earlier means being a step ahead of the competition, a step deeper into the arena of influence. Consider how the common man talks about mornings. He wishes to be a morning person. He laments his fatigue. He excuses his failure by pointing to biology or environment. This language reveals weakness. Machiavelli would sneer at the one who allows himself to be ruled by nature's impulses, because power is never gained by surrender. Instead, he would praise the one who bends his own nature to his command, even if by artificial means. Hypnosis in this sense is not a sign of fragility, but of cunning. To trick oneself is to recognize the necessity of deceit, a principle Machiavelli elevates. He praises the fox who uses cunning to overcome traps and the lion who uses force to strike fear. Self-hypnosis combines both qualities, the fox-like cunning of creating an illusion within the mind and the lion's force in turning that illusion into action. Moreover, Machiavelli would insist that the benefits of such control extend beyond the personal. A ruler who wakes late, sluggish and reactive, risks losing ground in political maneuvering, military readiness, or court intrigue. Time lost in sleep is opportunity handed to rivals. The one who rises first has the advantage of preparing, shaping narratives, and striking before others are even aware. By hypnotizing yourself to awaken early, you're not simply gaining hours. You are consolidating power in the most finite resource of all, time. To seize the morning is to seize a portion of destiny. This act also reveals something fundamental about Machiavellian psychology, the indifference to truth for truth's sake. If hypnosis involves planting a false belief or association in the subconscious, so be it. Truth for Machiavelli is subordinate to effectiveness. If the lie that I love mornings implants itself in the mind and produces the behavior of early rising, then that lie becomes more valuable than the raw truth of dislike or fatigue. Reality is not what matters, results do. The man who tricks himself into obedience through hypnotic suggestion is no different from the ruler who manipulates his citizens through propaganda. Both deploy illusion as a tool of order, and both reap the benefits of stability and control. It is also worth noting the theatricality of the act. Hypnosis, whether practiced in a formal setting or self-induced, carries the ritual of performance. It is the whisper, the mantra, the suggestion repeated until it rewrites perception. Machiavelli would see this as akin to the rituals of statecraft, the ceremonies, symbols, and illusions rulers craft to secure obedience. You hypnotize yourself not only in the private silence of your mind, but also in the symbolic projection of yourself to others. When you declare, I am a morning person, you rehearse the role until it becomes real. You become the prince of your own routine, demanding loyalty from your body as though it were a restless population. The true Machiavellian genius of this act is not that it makes mornings pleasant, but that it eliminates negotiation. Most people treat their will as a parliament, endlessly debating whether to rise or to sleep longer. Hypnosis dissolves debate. It replaces bargaining with command. Once the suggestion is embedded, the act of rising early no longer requires struggle. It becomes automatic. Machiavelli praises decisiveness, the refusal to waver when opportunity calls. To train the mind through hypnosis is to cultivate this decisiveness at the very start of each day. No longer does the individual wake uncertain, dragged by moods or comfort. Instead, he wakes as though summoned by his own decree. The transformation is subtle but profound. You cease to be a subject to your desires and become their ruler. And what ruler does not begin by ruling himself? Machiavelli would say that those who cannot govern themselves cannot govern others, for they project instability and weakness. Rising early, especially by one's own stratagem, signals mastery. It shows that even the most intimate enemy, the self's own inertia, has been subdued. This conquest of the self precedes and enables the conquest of circumstance, of rivals, of fortune itself. There is also an element of fear in this practice, though not in the obvious sense. Machiavelli insists that it is better to be feared than loved if one cannot be both. By hypnotizing yourself, you instill in your subconscious a form of fear. Fear of disobedience, fear of breaking the implanted command. Your body learns to obey because disobedience carries psychic punishment. You become both ruler and enforcer, instilling discipline not through kindness but through authority. This alignment of fear with obedience is precisely what Machiavelli recommends in governing states. It is more secure to rely on fear than on affection, for fear is within one's control while love is given freely and may be withdrawn. In the same way, relying on liking mornings is fragile, but creating subconscious obedience is reliable. From this angle, the phrase "I hypnotized myself to become a morning person" is stripped of its self-help gloss and revealed as a statement of conquest. It says, "I did not wait for nature to bless me with energy. I seized energy through deception. I did not hope to wake early. I compelled myself to wake early by force of cunning. I did not wish for mornings to feel good. I made mornings serve me whether they felt good or not." This ruthless pragmatism is exactly what Machiavelli admired. Fortune favors the bold, but even more, it favors the prepared. And the man who wakes before others is the man prepared. It may appear extreme to reshape one's subconscious through hypnosis, but Machiavelli would counter that extremity is sometimes the necessary path to effectiveness. Moderation is often weakness disguised. If bending your own mind secures greater control, efficiency, and power, then hesitation is folly. History remembers not the man who slept comfortably, but the man who seized advantage while others lingered in bed. In this light, the morning person created by hypnosis is not simply a healthier or happier individual. He is a strategist. He begins his day not in servitude to nature, but in command of it. He has manipulated the battlefield of his own psychology to remove resistance, ensuring that each dawn begins with order, not chaos. In a world where time itself is the ultimate resource, this is not just self-improvement. It is self-rule, the Machiavellian art of turning oneself into both prince and people, governor and governed, fox and lion. And so, disciplining yourself to wake early through hypnosis is not self-care, but a Machiavellian act of ruling your own nature before ruling others.